week on my blog post, I talked about ways that you can get your board engaged in fundraising and make it fun for them and help them learn how to do fundraising alongside you as advocates. The approach that I take is from Andy Robinson. He wrote a wonderful book about how to motivate your board for fundraising, and he said to design categories where they can pick from a menu of options. So you're not prescribing how they're going to engage in fundraising, but there's all different ways that you can open them up to how they can support fundraising, because immediately they think, oh, I have to ask somebody for a lot of money, and that's simply not true. There are lots of ways without actually directly asking that they can engage and support the work of fundraising for your nonprofit. So let's start by going through the appetizers. This is my personal list. Your list may look different for your organization. This is just to get you thinking. Provide names of donor prospects. Your board knows people. That's part of the reason that they're on your board. Motivate them to provide those names and give them space in a meeting to brainstorm about what names they might offer up as people who are like-minded and might be invested in your mission. Be a table captain for fundraising events. Table captains bring folks to fundraising events to hear the message about the mission and to hopefully get them engaged. So they bring folks literally to the table, and your work takes it from there. Sign and personalize letters to prospective donors. So this lets them know that they don't have to actually draft these fundraising letters. They just have to put their name, their seal of approval on it. And again, you're doing the heavy lifting, the hard work to actually draft and get those mailings out. Help develop a cultivation plan to solicit new major gifts. This is simply like letting you know things like this person likes to do a round of golf rather than dinner, or this person is way too busy to go for coffee. It would be better if you just sent them a sponsorship package. Let's clue them in on what these people like next. And this can be very, very helpful as you're getting to know a donor to have a board member give you a leg up in this way. Introduce a new prospective donor to a CEO or staff member, what we call opening a door. And a lot of times board members don't know how to do this without being awkward. So you can draft them some language that would be an email. They would simply send this as, hey, I really think you should get to know so-and-so. They run XYZ nonprofit, and I've been your friend a long time, and I know you care about XYZ issue, and I think that you could have a conversation with this person and that you would get along really well. Easy as that. And as long as you draft it for them, then they can adapt it to their own language and move forward with more confidence. And of course, we have to put on there the real easy button on the appetizer level is become a monthly donor to the nonprofit that you're a board member for, because we always want to strive for 100% board participation. So that is my appetizer list. I'll be back with the entrees and desserts. And last week I also offered my email subscribers. So if you're not an email subscriber, go become one, because I give freebies all the time to my email subscribers. But I offered up, and it was very popular, this board fundraising menu, not just with the appetizers, entrees, and desserts, but the whole thing laid out where you're getting them to think about, do they know people that could offer gifts in kind? Do they know people who could become major donors? Do they know of corporations that might be interested in sponsoring your organization? And on and on. So it's a full worksheet that they can work through in a board meeting, and will provide you with a lot of great information moving forward. The link is in my bio, and snap that up for free. It also puts you on my email list so that you'll get all those freebies in the future. Hey, I'm back again, and we're talking about board fundraising menus. So ways to get your board involved in fundraising. And we're talking about having a all-you-can-eat menu, but they have to pick at least one entree, at least one appetizer, and one dessert. So now we're talking about the entrees, which means something that's going to require a little bit more effort on their part, maybe be a slightly bit out of their comfort zone, but it's something that's still going to be doable, that's not going to scare them away. On the entrees, make a significant gift. Most board members are on your board and can make a significant gift. So if they can make a significant gift of $1,000 or more annually, that's $83.33 a month if you're encouraging them to become monthly donors. That's a great way to support your nonprofit as a board member. You should be getting 100% participation from your board, even if that's just a $5 gift from a particular board member. Including that nonprofit in your estate plan. This could be being the beneficiary of a life insurance policy at 10% or 25%. It could be a bequest in your will. It could be to be the beneficiary of an individual retirement account after they pass. Anything like that is a great way for a board member to really support the organization for the long haul. Host a house party. Have them invite over 5 to 15 to 20 folks, depending on how many that can actually fit in their home. And bring your CEO and bring literature and materials and set up some nibbles, and everybody just talk about the mission of the organization. Have a conversation where your attendees can ask questions of the CEO and learn more about the cause. This is a really great way to bring people into the work. Have them call a list of 10 donors and ask them to become sustainers. So this is a little bitty baby way to work their way into asking. They're asking folks who are already engaged in the mission. They're folks who are regular donors, but we're asking them to move from just giving to monthly giving. So this is a nice way to tiptoe into asking if they want to get into that and learn something about that. Let them know when you introduce this concept, you will provide them with scripts and support and language in order to do this successfully. Accompany a staff member on a visit to a major donor prospect. Let them know they don't have to be the one to actually ask. They are there to provide their testimonial about why they support your organization, which is sometimes more valuable than the actual asking that the staff members are doing. And another great way for them to support the organization and fundraising is to recruit new board members who have capacity and connections themselves. This is a fantastic way to bring folks in. So particularly if your board has a nominating committee or something like that, this could be their entree right there, is to consider capacity and connections when recruiting those new board members. And I encourage you to go to my link in bio, because right now I have the full fundraising menu for board members, and it includes additional spaces for them to think about corporations and gifts in kind and other potential major donors that they could introduce to the organization. And it's a great activity to do in a board meeting or a board retreat or a new board member orientation to see how they might want to engage with fundraising. Okay, we're talking about board member fundraising and how to motivate our board members to help us with fundraising. And we are on the desserts. I take a menu approach to getting board members involved in fundraising, give them a whole list and let them know that's all you can eat. They can have as many different tasks in fundraising as they want, but they have to pick at least one from each category: appetizers, entrees, and desserts. Today we're talking about the desserts. Help research foundations and corporations that might give to your nonprofit. This is a great way. A lot of times staff don't have the time to jump into that and do that legwork. So it's great if they just are provided a prospect list to begin working on of foundations that they might write grants for, or for corporations to reach out to, especially in a particular local area. Collect other similar organizations' annual reports, donor list, and programs from events. This is a great way to do donor research. So your board can help you actually begin the donor research process, especially again, if you are in a localized area, you need to be doing the research about who are the generous people that are supporting other organizations, especially organizations like you in your local area. Have them become an online ambassador for your nonprofit on social media and email, because this is so important. There is almost no way to get real organic reach on social media anymore. And the only way around that is to have more of a structured program where folks are sharing out all of the wonderful information that you curate about your nonprofit's mission. So if you have a group of people who are dedicated to sharing the important information that you put out online and amplifying your message without you having to pay to boost post and do sponsored posts and ads, this is gold. So that is a wonderful way for them to get involved. Invite donors to events for your nonprofit, either digitally or in person. This is somewhat related to some of the appetizer ones, but this is such an easy way, instead of calling up friends and saying, hey, will you give to XYZ nonprofit, to say, hey, it's an easier lift for a board member to say, hey, can you come to this fundraising event? Can you come to this virtual event and learn a little bit about why I'm so passionate about this nonprofit? So much easier. Open doors with vendors who say they might be open to providing gifts in kind. So if your organization does events that are outdoors, you're going to need bottled water for that. Do they know someone who might be able to donate bottled water? Are there other kinds of supplies that you need on a regular basis? Go through your budget, see what you're spending money on, and see if any of your board members can open doors with businesses or corporations that could provide gifts in kind. And one of the things that I am doing right now is offering this entire fundraising menu that has additional spots where they can brainstorm this stuff and go ahead and give it to you, which is great to do in a board retreat or a new board member orientation. So head to my link in bio and download that resource right now. It also puts you on my newsletter, which is really great, so you're not going to miss any of these freebies in the future. And of course, make thank you calls to donors. This is one of the best ways that donors can engage in fundraising, is to help with stewardship. One of the things that research continually shows is that one of the best ways to retain first-time donors is to have a volunteer leader reach out to them. It's one thing for staff to reach out. That's obviously meaningful, but it's more meaningful when a volunteer who is giving up their own time calls to say thank you to someone for their very first gift. So that is how I like to implement the thank you calls on the desserts. But any thank you calls are extremely worthwhile, especially when they're coming from your board members. So I hope this list was helpful. Make sure you go and download that resource and share with anyone who is in the nonprofit world that might benefit from this. Send them this video or send them the link to the board resource. It's just realdealfundraising.com/board resource, and you can download that entire worksheet there.